Hey, it's Brandon with RPG Overviews, and I have a Pay What You Want adventure for Shadowdark to show you today. It's called The Dark Contracts, a weird and wild weaving of Arthurian legend for characters level 1 to 2 by PWYW, designed for use with Shadowdark RPG. Cool piece of art right here, and this is a pretty neat little dungeon crawl. It says, Introduction, Merlin's brain is in a jar, Excalibur is broken, Arthur dealt with dark powers. So you've got the background here. A king from a faraway land once came to Dreadmore ruins to deal with dark powers. It brought him great fortunes, but ultimately doom. While his story is scattered, his artifacts remain. Rumors of great treasure and magic draw adventurers in, but dangers prove to be too much for most. We have a list of rumors there. 3 are false, 3 are true. The gameplay, the dungeon is risky, so you're going to roll for random encounters every 2 rounds. All the doors are locked, and all the areas are dark. Roll reaction for any monster unless otherwise noted. Only demons, devils, and Dreadmore will pursue the party if they retreat. Death is welcome when it comes, but to yield, never. So great map here by Dyson Logos. Fantastic, actually. He's, of course, one of the best when it comes to these OSR maps. And so, very easy to understand this layout with Shadowdark. You've got the entrance. There's a torch. It burns for an hour. Of course, I love the bold words to really stress certain things. There's 2 statues in this room number 2 right there. One's going to be having a sword and point to the eastern door. The other one has a penance and it points to the western door. And the statues are too heavy to move. You've got some empty rooms, rooms 3 and 5. I think that's it. And so you can roll for random encounters in there. I like that, having empty rooms where you can just kind of roll and change it up a little bit. There's a big stone. It's got a slit at the top. And so what you're going to be dealing with this is you're going to deal with Excalibur and Merlin again. There's a mage, there's a sword. Obviously, this 6 here, this M that you will see down there at the bottom, the walkway overlooks a 10-foot drop into dark, ominous waters, as still as glass. There's 3 pedestals that stand at one end. One with a curious-looking jar atop the words of spell are carved into the jar. So you're going to have a little bit of a puzzle with these words in different rooms, and you need to put those together at a certain place in order to do certain things. So this is Merlin's brain in a jar. And then in another room, you've got Excalibur broken. So in this room, the words of steel are carved into the floor nearby. There's a bunch of rubble and broken pieces of the legendary Once Upon a Time blade. There's an imp that is digging around in the rubble. And then later on, you're going to come to an altar where there are black candles that burn on a bloody altar behind iron bars. The words of sacrifice are carved into the altar, and there's a skeleton that lies on it next to a jeweled dagger and gold crown. So there's also a chapel, and this is where you need to speak the words all together. Of course, I'm spoiling this. So you're going to speak the words of spell, of steel, of sacrifice. And what that's going to do is 2 different outcomes. If Dreadmore is currently free, it will turn him into stone. If Dreadmore is currently stone, it will set him free, because magic is fickle. Then you've got this dark armory, where there's 2 skeletons of charred black bone that walk around. And blood writing on the wall reads, "What is a soul worth?" There's chests, they're unlocked, and they contain malice and torment, along with 2d6 gold pieces. And the skeletons are hostile. And then we've got the sacrifice. You're going to have these 3 sets of stairs, as you can see right here, from 10, 8, and 5. They're going to lead down to number 11. And it's going to take you here where Dreadmore is, the knight with a dark wing aesthetic. His vile laugh echoes throughout the ruins. His blade craves blood. You've got his stats. He's vengeful. He attacks twice with a long sword. The second attack is at disadvantage. You have a false altar. Blood covers it. The words of damnation are carved into it, and a skeleton rests on it near a knife. A note nearby reads, "G, my love, I'm so sorry." Maybe you can figure out who G is. And then I like here at the end it has what happened. The king signed 3 dark contracts to seal Dreadmore, his mortal enemy. Of spell, he sacrificed his mage to imprison to be imprisoned for eternity. Of steel, he sacrificed the blade that granted him power, and of sacrifice, he sacrificed his love, but on a false altar. In the end, he sacrificed himself. Then we've got our appendix, so we've got some encounters. One of them is a random NPC wanders in. I like that one. You've got some D8 chaos. If play slows, you roll this, and you can have some different things happen, like you see a vision of a lady in the lake, or silver pieces become white hot. And then there's some treasure. There's this blessing. It's going to help you with nobility. And if you roll a 12 on the reaction roll, they'll be charmed for D4 rounds. Then you have Once Upon a Time, a mythical longsword that was once belonged to a great king. +2 longsword, the damage dice explode, and there is no cap. Then you've got Malice and Torment. Malice is a cruel mace of obsidian and steel, +1, and you suffer -2 to reaction rolls for all clergy. And a demented dagger with a small skull pommel is Torment. It's a +1 dagger. You can no longer see anything made of gold. Very interesting. Then you've got all your stats for your monsters: cultist, the dretch, giant bat, imp, skeleton, and then the end. So there it is, a very cool little dungeon crawl for Shadowdark RPG. Thanks a lot.